Peace to the gods and the goddesses, man. I already know what it is, cuz. Straight avocados, man. Yo, man, we gonna really talk about, man. I know how I do, man. Load up real quick, man. Hold on, man. I'm about to fire on these cats. Early. Nah, man, I'm about to fire up on these cats, man. Hold on for a second. Since I'm multitasking right now, son. Not while I'm multitasking. Nah, man, we gonna break it down so people can really understand what's going on. Cause y'all already know, man, there's a major distortion going on the planet. And that got to do with we being governed by the, you know what I'm saying, by that Gregorian calendar. As I stated in past videos, man, we being, you know, the Gregorian calendar is a lunar calendar. Y'all familiar with it? For those who ain't, checked them archives, man. A lot of questions y'all be asking me, man, I done answered years ago, man. Know what I mean? But yeah, man, we gonna talk about what's really going on, man. You know, like when you see you know, I got a nice little shot of camera, you know what I mean? You know when for a second, man, where we at? We going right now. We calculate. When you see like people walking their dogs, like out here it's heavy in the hood now. Back in the day, oh man, what are you doing, player? What are you doing? What are you doing? Females can't drive for nothing. Back in the days, only time you seen, you know what I'm saying, like people walk dogs in the hood, you know what I'm saying, he was about to go bust a sale. You know what I mean? And that dog was like his bodyguard. Just in case somebody try to do a little jack move or, you know what I'm saying, the beast try to run up on him, man, he'll let the dogs loose, man. You know what I'm saying? But now these days, man, you see them walking with all types of dogs. You know, they got their dogs doing tricks. Got them running an obstacle course. Some people take their dogs to the dog park. Yes, there is a thing called a dog park where there's dogs allowed. Only dogs allowed in the area and their owners. And they just run around and throw frisbees and balls all day, like a bunch of Pokemons, throwing a whole bunch of balls. They fetch the ball. Got certain obstacle courses that they could run up. Things of that nature. But you know that when you see these people doing these things with these animals, like you will see them racing the horses or having the horses going through these obstacle courses. They have dogs that they train to identify colors. You know what I'm saying? They got monkeys doing all sorts of tasks. Walking upright, doing certain things on the computer. They got them walking upright straight, riding bicycles. You know what I'm saying? They have birds doing certain things, carrying messages, performing certain tricks. You know what I'm saying? When you see the humans doing all of these, having these animals do all these tasks, you got to know that right there is your spiritual training. This thing that they got going around where they be talking about the so-called black race need to get involved in spiritual training. Number one, we're not spirits, so we don't need to train in the art form of spiritual or spirituality. Spiritual training has to do with tweaking the energy. As I stated before, your vessels, they serve as a medium to tweak the soul or the spirit by way of the sensories. Certain things they have people doing, it tweaks their soul or their spirit. So when you see them doing these various things with these animals, that's spiritual training. They training, you know what I'm saying? They not so much training the animal. You got to know that you just looking at, hold on for a second. You got to know that when you're looking at when you're looking at these animals, you must know there is an energy force that is governing that animal. Or people, period. Bodies, period. When you look at bodies, just know that there is an energy force inside of the body governing the body. So they not training the animals. They are really training the spirits that's in the animals. Because as I stated before, you know, like how our so-called ancestors said, the way how you live your life now will determine where you go in the next life. So in actuality, they basically saying that you are being trained or prepped for your next experience when you leave this body. So when they going through these so-called, or when they doing these so-called activities with these animals, they are training the spirits, because the animals are spirits. There's spirits inside of those animal bodies. That is your spiritual training. Training the spiritual energy that exists inside of the body, because they have to be prepared to occupy a more stronger, advanced body. As I stated before, and now you got people saying it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm the one copying them. But now you got people saying that the human race is a more advanced animal race. Just let it be known. But I ain't tripping. But I just find it funny that people want to label me a copycat or a remixer, but yet they all up in the studio like Puff Daddy, remixing everything. You know what I mean? But anyway, so yeah, the more advanced animal body, the body, focus on the body. Not right now, I want you to focus on the body. So the humans being the more advanced animal body. So when they doing these tricks with these animals, whatever they want to call it, training tricks, teaching the animals to carry, lead the blind, do all of these things, because when they training the dog to lead the blind man, that's heightening the dog's senses, because the dog's senses now becomes heightened on a level than the person that they are leading. Their senses have to be more sharp. So just don't look at the dog and think that it's just the dog that's, you know what I'm saying, being enhanced. You got to know that the spirit that's inside of the dog's body is being molded to understand how things work in regards to senses, sight, noise, you know what I'm saying, sight, hearing, environments. The dog has to know how to interpret certain things so that the blind man won't get injured. So that is the spirit inside of the dog is actually going through a training process, because when that dog die, the spirit is going to come up out of that dog, and if the spirit that was inside the dog went through the training course, and if it was successful, it would be able to incorporate a human body on its next experience or its next life. That's your spiritual training. Your spiritual training has to do with all, and it's spread out through the entire animal kingdom. It ain't just dogs and cats and things like that. It's elephants. You know what I'm saying? Like how they got these elephants up in the circus, the lions up in the circus. You know what I'm saying? They going through a certain training course to learn to be obedient. A lot of your lion spirits, when they die, the lions die, they will come back and be military personnel people. Just did to take orders. You know what I'm saying? They're going through it because they got the animalistic program, you know what I'm saying, in that type of energy. So they know how to hunt. You got to know that military, when you're looking at the military, that's a form of hunting that they do, man. But they make, as I stated before, they do it on a more sophisticated level than an animal. When you see the military scope out an area, you know what I'm saying, and they just surveillance the area, that's no difference than a lion in the tall grass looking at a prey or looking at a large amount of, let's say, buffaloes. Let's say they got like 400 buffaloes in the area and they all sitting there drinking water and they just chilling in that one area. That one area where them buffaloes is at is like a village. It's like a territorial area that's about to be invaded. The lion would be the military personnel. The buffalo would be the residents, the village, people that living in the village. So you see the lion chilling in the tall grass. It's no different than the military chilling back, watching and seeing how things work. You know what I'm saying? So when the military attack, they just expressing an animalistic nature on a more sophisticated, complex level because the senses has been heightened. So therefore, they're not going to attack exactly like how the lion would attack, but they would attack how the lion would attack, but it would be on a more advanced level because you're dealing with a more advanced body. You know what I mean? So yeah, with the elephants and the lions and the giraffes and all this stuff that they got going on, son, even these animals in the zoo, those animals that's in the zoo, a lot of them is going through spiritual training to be incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all an experience. You got to know that it is all an experience. They got to learn or be disciplined and get ready to do some life sentences probably. You know what I mean? Straight up. Hold on for a second. You know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on, man. On and on. So your spiritual training has to do with the various activities that they have these animals going through. Because the animals are, the energy that's inside of these animal bodies are spirits. They ain't no souls, man. They spirits. And they want to talk about the so-called black race was heavily engaged in spirituality. Spiritual, as I stated before, spirituality is an art form for spirits. Period. That is a training course that spirits need to go through to develop their spiritual essence. And it all has to do with training the spiritual energy and preparing it so that it can occupy a more advanced spiritual vessel. That's your spirituality. Not this crap where they talking about a bunch of people getting in some damn circle dancing around fire and beating drums. You know what I'm saying? That's how you summon spirits. You know what I mean? They always talking about summoning spirits. But what about contacting the gods? I don't even hear nobody ever talk about, they always talking about the ancestors, and the ancestors got to do with the humans. That's spirits. They always talk about contacting spirits, but ain't nobody talking about contacting the souls. When they gonna start talking about contacting the souls? You know what I'm saying? It's easy to contact a spirit. Spirits are attracted to matter. That's why you got to set up altars and things like that. Burn some candles and some incense. Spirits are attracted to matter. Souls are not attracted to matter, son. You know what I'm saying? Souls are way more advanced. Matter is condensed particles, which exist on low frequency dimensions. You know what I mean? Yes, Earth is a low frequency dimension. It might not be a low frequency dimension when you compare it somewhat to the spirit world, but when you compare it to the sun, it's hella low. As I stated before, the suns is where gods live. Gods live on suns. Gods don't live on planets. Creatures live on planets. Gods live on suns. The environment got to be suitable for a god. Just like when you got certain people on a planet, they have a certain level of stature that they have. Like say a billionaire, he's a billionaire, he has massive amount of money, so therefore that environment has to complement his mindset. The environment has to complement the frequency that he's vibrating on. It has to complement the money that he has. So he has a mansion that's the size of Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? He got 50 people working for him. $100,000 cars, $1 million cars, you know what I'm saying? It has to meet his requirements. The environment has to meet his requirements. You ain't gonna find no billionaire living in no damn projects. You know what I'm saying? Rich people and wealthy people, the environment has to suit their standards. So now when you put God into the equation, God is a hella high frequency being. So therefore, the environment that God lives in has to meet God requirements. God is vibrating high. Suns vibrate high. High as hell. You know what I mean? Straight up. So when you see the, just know that, yeah, so the whole spirituality thing, that was something that, yes, we created it. Man, we created everything. Of course we created it. We created it for them. Spirituality, yes, was created by the so-called black race because it was a template or a series of instructions that a spirit needs to go through to occupy different vessels. That's what it is. That's what spirituality really is. Spirituality has to do with training spirits to occupy different dimensions, aka different bodies. Because every body, all of these bodies that incorporate spirits, they are different dimensions. Because a dog sees things different than how a man sees it. So the perception is linked to a certain dimension. The way how a dog sees and comprehends certain things, that's a certain dimension that the dog is locked in. But when you compare it to a man consciousness, the man consciousness is way beyond the dog spectrum. So the dimension opened up for him. More things is being revealed based upon the ability to capture and process and comprehend what one is viewing. You know what I mean? So yes, we created spirituality. Hell yeah, we created it. We created it as a training course or instructions for spirits that they need to go through if they want to occupy different bodies. That's it. All this love and this peace and this harmony that these people talking about with this spirituality and that, yo, man, you know, spirituality was a thing and sitting up here communicating with the spirits. Man, you talk to a spirit every time you speak to a human. You talk to a spirit every time you speak to a human. Every time you speak to a human, you're talking to a spirit. It's easy to talk to spirits. It ain't hard. But in order for you to communicate with the gods now, man, listen. You got to raise yourself up. Raise up. Raise up. You got to raise your vibration. The same way how the spirits got to raise their vibration. Okay, say the same way like how a dog goes through his training course to learn certain functionalities that a human knows. How to identify certain things that a human knows. That's prepping the spirit. So the same way how that spirit that's inside that dog has to go through a training course in order to incorporate a human body so it could communicate with humans on a higher level. Well, it's somewhat the same way how gods got to go through a training course to communicate with the gods. But it's way more advanced than just a dog. You know what I'm saying? Way more advanced. You got to be strictly disciplined, man. Discipline. It takes discipline to communicate with the gods. And this whole English thing, y'all already know I done broke this down before that. Gods don't speak English. They could speak English. Now, when I say they don't speak it, don't take that as God can't speak English. God can speak any language. But I'm going to put it to you like this in practical form. If God was to be speaking English to these people, or any of these languages that exist on the planet that these people speak, if God was communicating with those people, whether it's Chinese, Patois, y'all know the languages out here. If God was using those languages to communicate with the people on the planet, there would be no satellites in existence. None. NASA wouldn't have no satellites. None. The main purpose of satellites is so that they could communicate with God. That's a high frequency language God speaks. And that frequency is so high that God speaks. They got to run the transmission through a series of computers and break it down. God speaks to high frequency. So when the signal of God is going through those satellites and it's going through those series of computers, just know that it's being dumbed down. Because when you translate a language, you're dumbing it down. You're taking it out its original potent form and you dumbing it down because it's too hard for you to translate. So you have to dumb it down. And when you dumb a language down, by you diluting the integrity, shows that the entire transmission or message will not be 100%. In other words, that's how things get lost in translation. So the whole message that God would send to you, some of the increments in the message would be assumptions. Well, I assume this is what this means right here. So you're not getting the message in the totality. You're filling in the blanks right now because you can't get it all. But if God was speaking to these beings in their so-called native tongue, because man, I'm native, because the reality is we ain't got no native tongue because the soul ain't got a tongue. If you want to say that we got a native tongue, that's mental thought. Straight up. Mental thoughts. Mental telepathy. That is the native tongue. The native tongue. But if God was speaking all these languages, then it wouldn't be no satellites. Wouldn't be none of these big satellite dishes flying around in space. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. They use that as a medium, like a translator, an interpreter. I gave the example of the courtroom. You got somebody coming up in there being charged with something. He speaks Spanish. The judge speaks English. He can't speak no English. They got to call an interpreter in. That interpreter would be the satellite. Yo, you got to interpret this language because I don't understand what he's saying. That's what the satellites do. They got it pointing at God's house. God's house is the sun. NASA got a satellite dedicated to the sun, reading the frequencies of gods that's on the damn sun. and they translate it. But people don't really want to admit or come into the realization that God is responsible for everything. People will say that God is in control of everything, but then want to blame the police for somebody getting bust over their head with a baton. Why you think they name all these things after God? Baton, you know what I'm saying? They name a lot of these instruments, man, after God. They just codify it. They name a lot of these instruments that they use to kill or destroy life after God, because it's all being done in the name of God. They will codify it and tell you that it is a pagan God. Nah, man, that's just the veil. You know what I'm saying? But they doing it in the name of God, because God is instructing them to do it. Because y'all people think that this all love and all this peace, man. Y'all fell so far down in consciousness that all y'all do is feel. Y'all don't even think no more. Thinking is a frequency that's above feeling. Feeling is a frequency that's below thinking. When you fall from critical thought, you are now a feeler. You become a believer. Believers feel. Believers don't know because they're not thinking. If they were to think, they wouldn't be a believer. Then that means they wouldn't feel. That would means that they would be able to calculate what's actually happening. Not sitting up there with a whole bunch of tears going down their cheeks, talking about such and such got shot up. These mothers, man, they be sitting up there crying about their sons getting shot up, but their sons got all these damn tattoos on their damn body, eating all this bull crap. You feeding your son poison, but you want to sit up here and cry and act front like you care about your son or your daughter. You know what I'm saying? Your daughter get raped, you sitting up there crying, but she got a damn perm in her head, chilling with a bunch of degenerates, smoking and drinking. These people don't give a damn about their offspring. They got a curse on them, man. There's a curse. You know what I'm saying? I did that song, The Curse of Ahmed, because there's a damn curse. The people don't realize it, man. They think, yo, man, we've been cursed. When you disconnected from God, you are cursed. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, that spirituality, man, that just got to do with training animals so that spiritual energy inside of them could be prepared to occupy higher dimensions, aka stronger vessels. That's it. Got nothing. It ain't nothing sacred about that damn shit. Nothing. Ain't nothing sacred about spirituality. It's a training course. That's like saying Apex Technical School is sacred. People go up in there, they train, learn to be electricians, learn to be computer technicians, or they learn to be mechanics. You know what I'm saying? But that's like saying being a mechanic is sacred. It's training you to operate on cars. It's training your energy to be able to identify and occupy and work on cars. Same thing with electricians. It's training you so you could do wiring, work for Con Ed or whatever. That's another dimension. Every time you walk into a building, you walk into another dimension. A cube is a dimension. All of these buildings out here, all these cubes, they are dimensions. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You know what I mean? Now how foolish would that be? You sitting up here talking about working for Con Ed is sacred. You know what I'm saying? Apex Technical School is sacred. That's exactly how these people sound when they talk about spirituality being sacred. It sounds foolish like that. It was something that we created for the spirits so they could learn. That's it. It's for the spirits. It's not for the souls. I'm up out of here, sinners. Y'all already know what it is, cuz.